Hello everyone, welcome back to our AceScape classes. So as you know, we are starting our food products technology class, and from today onwards, we are starting our new series, which is on processing principles. So we will cover all the lectures of products technology, all the topics. Like we are starting from processing principle, then we go to cereal technology, then we go to oil expiring technologies, then we study about food and vegetables, then milk, and each and every aspect of your syllabus. So let's start with our this series processing principles. So from today onwards, from in this lecture, we are first understand we what is processing principle and why we need those principles, right? And then in subsequent lectures, I will teach you what are the different processing principles, how we achieve preservation technology, how we preserve a food, and commercially also, and in household also, and what are the science behind that. So we will understand all of them in this lecture, and I will give you surety that from these lectures, your syllabus will be covered fully, and everything will be from these criteria only. So let's start the lecture. Introduction to processing principles. So first of all, let's understand what is food technology, right? We are studying food technology from 4 year or 3 year. Maybe some of you are in second year also. So we have some idea about what is technology and what is food processing. There is thin line between them. So if we talk about food technology, it is an application of scientific techniques for generation, production, packaging, preparation, and preservation of food. So when we talk about food technology, we consider farm to fork everything. So see, we are not a home science student, or we are not a some hotel management student. We have to think according to our industry, right? Commercially. So if we think about commercial production, so there are multiple aspects involved in that, right? You have to first perform R&D, research and development. Formulation, you have to prepare to produce some product. Then you have to process that product through a production line, and then you have to check their its quality, like whether its quality is good, whether that food uh, taste is wholesome or not. And then you pack that food and distribute to consumers, and also you keep track on its quality degradation. So all these aspects, if we combine at a place, that is called food technology. But if we talk about food processing, so basically food processing is a techniques or method to produce any food, right? Here we are only concerned about production or processing criteria, right? So these are the basic difference, right? Food processing is a highly complex multidisciplinary activity, involve different branches of engineering, right? Here we need multiple branches, like multiple knowledge, multiple areas we have to combine here in processing. And uh, we can say they food technology and processing both are kind of similar, but there is very thin line. Okay, so uh, let's talk further. Now, food preservation. First of all, why we need to preserve food? So, if we see the history, so our in Asian techniques, people used to eat directly fresh food. When people used to live in a forest or in jungles, they used to eat fresh food. But now, slowly, the technology developed, and now in today's generation, everybody has some work. Everybody has to go to their work, and they have to leave their home. So everybody cannot cook daily. That's why we there is a requirement of processed food which we can directly eat, or we can ready to cook, or we can say ready to eat kind of food. So that is the one thing that we have to consider, and being a food technologist, we have to develop such techniques to fulfill this requirement. Also, we know that in food there is we generally divide food in three categories, right? Perishable commodity, semi-perishable, and non-perishable. So here we are talking about raw materials, right? So like fruits, vegetables, and other raw ingredients. So we used to categorize those products into three categories: perishable, semi-perishable, and non-perishable. So non-perishable category do not require any such processing. We have to only pack them, and it uh, can be preserved, and they are kind of self-stable food. But for perishable and semi-perishable, we have to perform such operations on that food. Otherwise, that food will spoil within span of a limited span of time. So that's why there is a need of some techniques or need of some application of processing so that we can preserve that food. Otherwise, it will spoil. So that's why the food preservation is a treatment of food, and preservation technique primarily based on food following harvest, slaughter, or manufacturing quality losses, right? We know that at each and every stage there may be some quality losses, and there are some quality losses in each and every stage. At harvesting stage also there are some quality losses. If we talk about animal, then at slaughtering, there if we don't apply any technique, then they may spoil with some bacteria, or we can say some chemical reactions may be there. And also during manufacturing also there are some quality losses, right? We know that during boiling, some vitamins or some minerals get degraded due to the high application of heat, right? Vitamin C gets degraded, and some chlorophyll also gets degraded due to application of heat. So there are some quality losses during manufacturing also. We have to consider all these losses and develop such techniques so that we can prevent these losses, right? Quality losses get accelerated or minimized at any stage of production. Now we know that the lots of development has been done in such field so that we can reduce quality losses at any stage of processing, right? We can reduce it on harvesting time also, we can reduce it at manufacturing time also, we can reduce it at packaging time also. There are multiple applications who can reduce all these quality losses also, as well as they can accelerate it also if we provide such environment, and that will accelerate the quality loss also, right? If we don't process food, if we don't let's say we are slaughtering an animal, if we don't apply any chilling, or if we don't apply any washing, proper washing, then it will spoil easily. If we don't apply a drainage blood, if we don't allow blood to come out, right? Or then blood will spoil that animal. So there are acceleration also and minimize also. We have to focus on minimization, right? Total preservation is highly multi-component. We know that to achieve preservation, we have to apply multiple things at a time. We have to apply food. We have to understand food chemistry also. What is the chemistry behind that spoilage? We have to understand microbiology also, like whether microorganisms are involved in that or not. And we have to understand that techniques also, that which techniques can prevent this preservation. So these are multi-component, and also a lots of research has been carried out on this topic, but much more research and application is required now also, right? You used to see on your news and something like that, that the uh, raw tomato gets spoiled, or price of tomato reduced, farmers not getting a proper price of tomato. Why? Because there is a gap in supply chain, right? There are industry who process tomato into tomato puree, tomato ketchup, tomato uh, juice, but it is limited. In India, uh, according to some data, 70% of raw commodity gets spoiled. Why? Because there is a huge gap, because we produce commodity more, but we don't have such infrastructure to process it. We cannot process all the commodity which are produced by the Indian farmer. So there is a huge gap, and that gap we have to full being a food technologist. We have to develop such techniques. We have to uh, some may be interested in business, so they maybe start a company which can develop. So these are the areas which where we are there. So food processing ensure generation of employment. Obviously, if somebody start an industry, they require manpower for their operations. Employment is there. Reduction of wastage, as I told you, that is example of tomato, potato. Like price of tomato and potato uh, reduce when they are in season, but when the if we talk about off season, it gets very high. Why this huge acceleration and huge differentiation in prices? That is because of the less application of processing or less application of some industries. So that gap we have to fill, right? Increase in farmers income, as I told you that in peak season, uh, that farmer don't get much price, but when this off season we want to buy that price is very high. So these are the points. Let's talk about quality losses. How quality reduce of any commodity with respect to time. So if we see identical material, it has highest quality, right? Identical material is highest quality. Now, identical raw material means the material which produce without any hazards, right? If we produce any commodity, it some rodents may act upon that, some insects would spoil some food, or some pesticides may be there. So that are the actual conditions. But if we see ideal conditions, then this all may be not there. Actual raw material, which means some insects are there, some rodents, or some quality losses maybe happen during harvesting. Because see, some commodity, perishable commodity required low temperature after harvesting. But harvesting carried out at farm level. So during that farm to transportation of that commodity farm to industry, there may be some quality losses. So that may count in actual quality losses. Now raw material storage, if we don't provide proper raw material storage, then some quality loss may be there. Or if we provide some storage, then also some quality loss may be there, right? Because we cannot create perfect condition for that food. It may spoil with respect to time. Now, if we start product formulation from that, then quality may increase, right? We perform sorting or grading of that commodity. So we throw it out some spoil part and we separate out some good part. So we increase its quality. Now, as step time increase and as we perform next to next step, quality may constantly reduce. During consumption, quality maybe its quality reduced to its half. So this is gap. We have to develop such thing. We have to accelerate this quality till here, right? We have to bring it till here. So this is the area where we have to apply such techniques of food processing. Now, what are the major possible, I can say, reasons of quality loss? So there are four reasons: chemical, physical, enzymatic, and microbial. Let's understand first what are the component of any food. Food is made up of what? First of all, water may be there, right? Then our major component, carbohydrate, fats, and protein. And there are some minor components like minerals, vitamins, pigments, enzymes, etc. Right? So these are the component of food which is made up of. There may be some other also like nutraceutical food, nutraceuticals, and some acids. So there may be some other food, other components also, but these are the major. And the quality reduced because of these components reactions. Like carbohydrate consists some property to react with acid, and fats consist some property to react with oxygen, and acidity may be there. Protein have some property to react with enzyme or react with heat and it gets denatured, it gets precipitate. So every component has its property, and because of that reactions, food quality may reduce or food quality may increase also. For example, if we consider precipitation in milk, so with the application of heat and acid, we can precipitate milk protein and produce paneer, which is a higher quality, right? Its quality is increased. If we talk about fat, so with the fat, if we gets oxidized, then it may produce some rancid flavor, which is not good, right? So there are lots of reaction involved in food because food is very complex structure. We have to understand all this complexity to preserve that food, right? So these are the major components of food. Now let's talk about major reasons for quality losses. So as I told you, there are four reasons: chemical, physical, enzymic, and microbial. Now let's talk about one by one. Like what may be the chemical reasons? So there may be some oxidative reactions, right? There are rancidity of fat, Maillard reaction of carbohydrate. This all these terminologies you have studied in your food chemistry course, right? And if you haven't gone through it, so please go to that lectures, food chemistry lectures, and study all those things in detail, because the chemistry is the basics of this food processing. We apply in food processing, we apply food chemistry, food microbiology, and then we produce some technique, right? So for this food processing, the prerequisite course is your food chemistry and food microbiology. You have some sound knowledge of food chemistry and microbiology, then and then only you can thoroughly understand this whole food products technology. Okay, so what are the reactions? Oxidations are there, acidity, Maillard reaction also there, some nutrient losses. For example, vitamin C lost during the boiling, or chlorophyll lost during the blanching or maybe pasteurization, and some other important nutrients which are the required by our body, which are essential to our body, they may get degraded during our processing. Now if we talk about physical, then some mass transfer, right? For example, if you place a biscuit in open environment, you feel that biscuit gets soggy or chewy after some time. Why? Because biscuits, we like biscuits as a crispy. Uh, the texture of biscuit should be crispy. But if we put a biscuit in open environment for some time, it may absorb some moisture from the atmosphere. Atmosphere have some relative humidity, and biscuit has a very low relative humidity, or we can say very low water activity, and we like that texture of crispiness of that biscuit. But due to environment's relative humidity, some moisture migration may be there into biscuit, and biscuit gets soggy or chewy, and that we don't like. So that is a kind of quality degradation only, right? Some mass transfer, some losses of crispiness, as I mentioned, loss of crispiness, some mechanical shocks during transportation, right? For example, if we transport apples, and if we stack more apples, like if we have to place apple in carrots, right? And if we place a number of carrots like this, so there is chances like apple in this bottom carrot may get some pressure, and it get damaged because of that pressure. So we have to consider all those factors when we are talk about the preservation, right? Now enzymatic reactions, like hydrolytic reactions, some catalyzations, like some catalyzation by lipase. You know, lipase is the enzyme which acts upon lipid, right? And it cause hydrolysis of lipid, and uh, it may produce some rancid flavor. Protease, amylase. Protease are the enzyme which break down the protein. Amylase are the enzyme which break down the carbohydrate or starch. And there are some putrefactions like the development of flavor from protein. All those things we have to consider. Like in microbiology, there are some toxins which produced by bacteria. There are some spoilage due to bacteria, some flavor development, some bad flavor development due to pseudomonas or some salmonella kind of species. So these are the factors we have to consider, right?